listen, and learn.
I could dig rapping. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? Master G, and it's the Look, Listen, and Learn show. And I'm so happy to be back. This is show number 2. Show number 2. Ah, there it is. There it is. Show number 2. And we're doing this show. We're calling this show The Purpose. And so as people know, and I don't know if you do know, but there's been a rise and a fall and a rise in my life. And one of the things that I had to do in my life was find my purpose. I had to find out what my purpose was. And what I mean by that is a purpose is the thing that drives you the most. When you are at your weakest point or when you are at your worst moment, what your purpose is supposed to be the thing that kicks you into overdrive. Now, for me, a lot of times it's been just the desire to want to do well, the desire to want to win. This is the desire to succeed. I've been, hell bent on being a success all my life. So what I did is, I started looking into myself and I started dealing with my own emotions. I had stopped making excuses. I had to start believing in my abilities. I had to create a situation where there was no situation. And, a lot of people, again, don't know that I've gone from, being in front of thousands of people to literally knocking on people's doors and selling magazines. And this has all been in the span of the time that I've been alive. So, one of the things that I want to really get you guys to understand is the purpose of, what it is that life means to you. Another purpose is the purpose of the show, the purpose of our show, the Look, Listen, and Learn show. For many years, I spent time just staying away from everybody and didn't want to be seen, didn't want to talk to folks. But during that time, I was dealing with people on a one-to-one basis. As I said, I was finding out about myself in business. I was finding out about myself as a person. And all of those times, I always would connect with people, and I always would, mentor young people. And, when I was dealing with the door-to-door companies, I had so many young people that came to me and so many lives that I helped change. And little by little, of course, I got myself back together, and one thing led to another, and I started getting back out. Of course, everybody knows in 2005, I went back with Sugar Hill Gang, and I started performing. We, in the beginning of the Sugar Hill 2005 version, we didn't know how to get out the daggone bathroom, but fortunately, again, because I defined my purpose for going back to doing what I did and what I do with Sugar Hill is because I felt like I did not finish what I started as a kid. I took a sabbatical. I took a huge sabbatical. I took 20 years away. I spent 20 years away from the music business, and in 2005 decided to go back. And in that time, I've run across so many people in different parts of the world. I've been to France, I've been to Germany, I've been to Japan, I've been to China, I've been to Singapore. I've been to a lot of different places, and I meet so many people, and I've met so many people, and so many people have always asked for advice, or they ask for information, or what do I think, or how do I feel, or what my thoughts are. And for a long time, I really kind of didn't take full advantage of how people felt about how I felt about things. But as time started going on, and I had this dream about doing, radio or television or whatever it was that I was given a chance to do, I started realizing people really wanted to hear what I had to say. People wanted to hear what I had to say as far as finances were concerned. People wanted to hear what I had to say as far as just living general life. People wanted to hear what I had to say as far as dressing. Over a period of time, a lot of people have commented on, how I dress or how I carry myself. So I felt like coming to where we are right now, this has been given this has given me an opportunity to fulfill the purpose of informing, educating, and entertaining. Because I've been entertaining people on the stage, since I was a kid. One of the things that I've always been able to do is turn people on, make them have a good time. I'm originally a rapper, and I'm always going to be a rapper by nature. My first job was to rock a party. That was my first job. So, I learned early on how to get people pumped up and what songs to play as a DJ. And that moved on into being on stage in front of thousands of people. Now, performance at a party and a performance at a stage with 20,000 people, it's a little bit of a different situation. But at the end of the day, there's still a purpose. And the purpose is to turn the people on, and get them pumped up. But like I said, with the show, I'm finding that, and just by, the information that I've been given and, all the stuff that we've been looking at and the feedback that we've been getting from the show, people are generally affected by the things that I have to say, the things that I want to say, and the things that I'm thinking about saying. So we want to do that here. We want to use this show to, get people to understand more about me, the people that I know, the things that I do, and where I feel like I want to go and what I want to do with people that I know. Because that's the other thing, the lyrics of the intro, it says, I've been given the power to connect and to correct the damage to the minds of the lives that I affect. So, I have been given a gift, because this is a gift, this opportunity to have people to be interested in what I think is a privilege, because everybody doesn't handle it well. Everybody doesn't handle recognition well, which comes to my first point of today. Fame. There's a. And I want to put this in the right context because I don't want to get people to understand. Me on the level of fame, I'm not interested in fame. It's not my thing. Not that I don't appreciate it. Not that I'm not thankful for it, because I'm famous because I'm successful with my talent. So anybody that is an actor, everybody that's a DJ, anybody that does anything where you perform or you turn people on, the notation of whether you're successful or not, a lot of times depends on how famous you get. So in other words, if a person didn't know the lyrics to Rapper's Delight, then pretty much I wouldn't have any notoriety. I wouldn't be famous. If a person didn't see me on Jimmy Fallon, I wouldn't be famous. So you have to understand, and I had this conversation earlier, there are responsibilities that go with notoriety. Now, notoriety when I was 17 years old and notoriety that now that I'm 50-something years old is a different situation. There's a whole lot of notoriety that, you had to be known based on what you did, period. I mean, if you had hit records and you were on television, you were known. Now, what I call it the social media word of mouth, with social media now, you can go on social media and you can do a rant. You can rant about parking meters. You can do that. And if it goes viral and get me now, I'm still limiting myself when it comes to information because I'm still learning about it myself. But if it goes viral and it turns into another thing, you can become an internet sensation. I remember my children telling me about somebody that they met at the mall, and this person was an internet person. They made situations and scenarios, or they talked about stories, or they told jokes on the internet. There's a certain amount of, even with that, there's a certain amount of responsibility that goes with notoriety. There's a certain amount of responsibility that goes with fame. And I know people say this, well, no, there isn't. Yes, there is. You have to understand that people are affected by you. People don't know you personally. People don't know me personally, but as far as they're concerned, they feel like they know me because they've been listening to my music for 40 years. So I'll run into a person and they'll be like, gee, I know you. Oh, my God, I grew up with you. You grew up with the words in my songs. You didn't grow up with me personally, but I still have a certain amount of responsibility because of that notoriety to be all right with that person and help that person come along. And the other thing is, it's hard sometimes when you're in the throes of your notoriety, when you are right in the middle of it. As a young person, being famous and being somebody that's known is very difficult to process. So it's a two-edged sword when it comes to this. On the one hand, the person that has the notoriety, you have to understand that people don't understand what it's like to be famous. That's one thing. Unless you're famous, and until you become famous, or unless people know you, it's very difficult to understand. I have always had a problem explaining to people how uncomfortable it is for me to walk into a room and at one hand, people don't know who I am, couldn't give 2 days of the day. And then the minute somebody says, oh, this is Master G, he's from Sugar Hill Gang, he wrote this, he did this song, the nature of the game completely changes. I was just in Fort Lauderdale this weekend, and I flew down to Fort Lauderdale with my niece. So we're sitting on a plane and everything's fine. And the gentleman starts talking to me. What do you do for a living? Now me, again, I'm Humble Joe. So for a living, I'm a musician. And that's the truth. Oh, what kind of music? Well, I founded a band and blah, 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 blah. And, this is the situation. So again, fame when I was 17 and fame and notoriety now that I'm a 50-year-old man is two different things. I could tell somebody that I was a part of Sugar Hill Gang in the 90s, let's say, or in the early 80s. And they'd be like, Sugar Hill Gang, oh, okay, well, be okay. And it'd be a dead conversation. I tell somebody I'm part of Sugar Hill Gang, my name is Guy O'Brien, and literally this guy picked the phone up and he put in Guy O'Brien, Master G, so what your name was? Matt, and boom, there it was. Now, the conversation went from, oh, wait a minute, oh, okay. Literally in 2 minutes, the guy that was sitting in front of us, he was ear hustling, so he turned around, he stopped paying attention. The stewardess on the plane found out that I was Master G of Sugar Hill Gang. She told her friend, the other stewardess came back down, and the whole situation changed. By the time I got off the plane, and this is a true story, and it happens to be the captain came out of the cockpit and said to me, thank you for my childhood. Now, this is the guy that just flew me to Fort Lauderdale. He says, thank you for my childhood. Now, that kind of stuff happens to me all the time. And this is what I say. One, I feel like every time I leave my house, I have a responsibility to look a certain way and be a certain way. That's why 9.9% of the time, if you ever see me outside of my house, I'm going to be looking presentable. And two, I got a responsibility to be pleasant and be cordial and be appreciative to every single person that comes to me and is glad or has that experience, because without that person, I would not live the life that I live. The reason why I'm successful, the reason why I wear shirts from London, and the reason why I drive expensive cars, et cetera, on and on, is because of that whole situation and scenario. Now, granted, I would rather not, be in that situation. I could have been on that flight, got on the plane, went on my business, did what I had to do. But, so what I'm doing is I'm trying to explain to people that are young and famous now, understand your responsibility. You got a responsibility, man, to respect those that love you. Country singers, I don't know if you guys really, and country singers do this well. Country artists will do a concert, get off the stage, and they will sign every single autograph to every single person. That's whatever the situation, and their thing is that's the reason why they're where they are. We do this. We do a concert, and I tell people this all the time. We do an hour and a half, 2-hour show sometimes, whatever the case may be, and I give it up. I leave it on the stage. When I was 17 years old and I did a concert for an hour and a half, I could hang out for 3 days. I wouldn't have to go to sleep. I could do all kind of other stuff. I was chasing women. They was chasing me. Now, I do that hour and a half show, I need to go lay my tired old self down. I need to go to sleep. I take a nap before the show. I take a nap after the show. I'm tired. But I take a picture, I shake a hand, I give a conversation up, and I listen to people's reality. I listen to people's experience, because people's experience for the music, everybody's experience is special to them. So again, and I'm never going to badmouth anybody. I know everybody's different. I understand how people are living, but I just want to attempt to, again, my purpose for even sitting here and being on this camera and being on this mic I felt like it was time that I started reaching out to people and giving them a chance to understand and maybe get things from a perspective of somebody who has pretty much been there, done that, and been there again. I effectively call myself a has-been. I has been to France. I has been to England. I has been to Germany. I has been successful. I has been not successful. I has been rich. I has been poor. So yeah, I has been. And I know that sometimes people be like, "You're has been." Yeah, I has been. I definitely has been. So again, my purpose for doing this, my purpose of finally allowing myself to get in the public eye, to put myself in a situation where people could see me beyond just the lyrics in the songs or the old footage. That's another thing I tell people all the time. All that old Sugar Hill stuff, the videos, the Soul Train, all that you can pull up. It's like having your high school yearbook pulled out every time friends come over your house. Yes, see, and people around me, you know what I'm talking about. You had that weird look, or you might have had that messed up T-shirt on, or whatever it was that you had on in the high school yearbook, but you can put it away. Yeah, you can put it away. You could keep it someplace and hide it. In my situation, all somebody got to do is go, oh man, why don't you grow the afro back? So that's my take on that. Another thing that we're going to do with this show is one of my other passions is health and fitness. I've been involved in health and fitness all my life, but even up to and including a few years ago, I started a company called Jump On It Fitness. One of our songs is a song called Apache. And so one of my goals, again, was I wanted to be a personal trainer. And so I came to the D.C. area about 5 or 6 years ago, and I was hanging around the house and trying to figure out what I was going to do with myself. And people was looking at me sideways, and it was like, well, okay, hey, man, what's up? So I said, you know what? I'm gonna start a personal training company, and I did. So I started Jump On It Fitness, and I started training people, and it was one of the greatest and one of the most fulfilling times in my life. Then I started touring again, so I couldn't train a person. I didn't feel like I was able to give a person a full training program if I was off for 3 months. It's very difficult to do that. Training is a thing. When you train somebody, it's a 3 times a week, 4 times a week situation. And, we can be gone at any length of time. We could be gone 3 months at a time, give or take. So we're going to cover that. We're going to talk about health and fitness. We're going to give you an opportunity. For example, what is the condition of a guy 50 years old? What's the condition of a guy 30 years old? And what's the condition of a guy 20 years old? Those are all different situations that need to be addressed. And one of the things that we need to be addressed, just to give you an idea of I know what I'm talking about, the older you are, the more you have to do. You have to understand that your most natural fitness situation where you didn't have to do anything was when you were in high school. So if I'm in high school, I'm playing basketball, what am I doing? I'm running, I'm doing weights, I'm doing a bunch of things, I'm doing all these different things automatically every day. Now you graduate high school, you didn't go to college, you don't have that same fitness regimen. Well, okay, now you go a little further, now you start living life. You got to take care of your family, you got responsibilities, you get a job, et cetera, et cetera. And now your fitness or your activities start decreasing more and more and more. Well, as the body ages, it's like anything else. Things start happening to you as you get older, not necessarily while you're younger. When you're younger, you could twist your ankle, and then the next day your ankle will be fine. When you're older, you twist your ankle, it might take you 3 weeks for your ankle to heal. Part of that is because of your activity. The more you do, if you're doing something 30 to 45 minutes, 3 to 4 times a week, even if it's just walking, I'm telling you, it's going to make a difference in how your blood flows. It's going to make a difference in how your joints are. The flexibility. All these different things take a different turn when you activate instead of just sit around and let things happen. So that's one thing. Another we're going to do. I know that we're right around that time to talk to my dude because that's another thing that we want people to understand as well. This show is not just a me show, it's a we show. So we got a lot of people involved in what we are doing. Jaquan, you saw him on the first show. He's an intricate part of what we do on this show. No man is an island, and I don't profess to be that island. Anything I've ever done, everything that I ever will do has all come as a result of the collaboration of people around me. Jaquan is one of the smartest guys that I know. He's also very well educated on the details of not just hip hop, but just music in general. So what I plan to do with Jaquan is either on a Skype level or a personal level. I want to continue to have him in here because I know also too through the comments that we've been getting that people are enjoying the synergy that goes on between Jaquan and myself. So I don't know if we have him on the phone yet, but we're going to get him on the phone. But while we work that out, I'm going to continue to tell you about some of these other things that I'm very passionate about. What we do, Sugar Hill Gang is an intricate part of my life, and it will always be an intricate part of my life. If it wasn't for Sugar Hill Gang, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. I mean, bottom line, we got him. Hey, there he goes. So what's up, Jay? How you doing?
What's up, G? How's it going?
It's going great, man. You're doing great, doing great. I just finished singing your praises. Ball, ball, ball.
Good looking, bro. Good looking.
Yeah. No, so what I was talking about, man, is, and we talked about this. We touched on this before, just to bring you up to speed of what we're doing today. Of course, we're talking about the purpose and what the purpose is, for many different things. One of the things that we're talking about is the purpose of our show. I was telling, the folks that, my purpose now is to give people an opportunity to hear what I have to say on many different subjects because I feel like it's time that I do that. I also told them how important it was for you to be an intricate part of the show and why you feel like, your purpose is. So I'm going to leave that up to you and see where you're at on that.
Well, yeah, man, I think we, as we've discussed before, man, I say we were separated at birth, man. Even though you you're my predecessor in a couple ways on a couple things, man. We have a very like-minded vision,
Absolutely.
man. Musically, I think we have the same mind musically just from our conversations and the way that we kind of connect different situations that we've been in the business. So on my side, of course, on a much lower level than yours, but still the same situation.
Everybody's reality is their reality. Cut you off, but I'm just letting you know that. Keep going.
Good. Exactly. So the way that we plug those scenarios and those metaphors into real life, I think we've really tapped into something, and I'm really looking forward to moving forward with.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And so, yeah, I was talking about notoriety. I was talking about how I've had to deal with fame as a young man and how I'm dealing with fame as an older man, and then the responsibility of fame in general. What that effect that it has not only on the person that's famous, but the individual who is introduced or meeting that person of notoriety or that fame.
Sure.
Yeah.
Certainly, yeah. Again, man, I can only relate to that on a much smaller level. But I remember, man, watching television and seeing Eminem when he was first really blowing up, and his daughter was really young. He was saying how irritating it was to not be able to go to the mall and just shop with his daughter without being hounded by people. Now, playing devil's advocate, you could say, well, that's what you wanted. That's the life you asked for, and in turn for that life, you're compensated very handsomely, and you get a lot of perks. And the trade-off is that loss of privacy. So it's a tricky thing.
Well, that's funny you said that because in so many words, I kind of touched on that a little bit here. We were talking about before the show went on about my shirt. And then I buy my shirts in London.
Okay.
I'm buying my shirts in London because the Eighth Wonder is kicking off money on a regular basis. You know what I mean? Because I just came back from Fort Lauderdale doing a concert in front of people, So, you got to understand that whatever it is that you do and however it is that you live, it's a direct result of the fact that people are enjoying and they are putting down that hard-earned money for what it is that you do. That's what it is. That's the trade-off. That's the trade-off.
It is. I remember hearing like Michael Jackson's brothers complaining about the fact, when he was still alive, of course, the fact that he couldn't do, X, Y, Z. And I'm like, yeah, but I mean, look at everything else. I mean, as a cat that, he's in a whole different stratosphere, but he was born to do what he did.
Right.
And, the trade-off for not being able to go to the mall or go to the amusement park and the things he wanted to do was this man touched millions of lives. He was compensated monetarily for what he did. and he's like the greatest entertainer ever. So it's that trade off, man.
No,
You
no
got to be careful
question.
what you ask for.
No question. And then the other thing too is that because and by no means am I ever feeling myself or inebriated on my own exuberance.
Certainly. Look at you with the big words. Look at you with the big words.
I had to throw that one in there, but I'm not. I'm not disillusioned at my level of notoriety. I am nowhere near as recognizable as Jay-Z. I mean, Jay-Z can't walk down the street. So
Certainly.
But even with that being said, even if you watch somebody like Jay-Z, how he deals with his notoriety, he can't. Him and Beyonce they cannot walk down the street. Bottom line, if Jay-Z and Beyonce walk down the street today, they would stop traffic right now. But
they would.
But watch how gracious they are. Watch how smooth they move. They understand their reality because at the end of the day, your success is a direct result of the people that feel you're successful.
That's right.
Bottom line.
100%.
And then you also, here's the thing about this, and I know we're kind of going into the thing. You are a dream for people. We could segue back into the purpose. I'm a young kid and I'm working to aspire. When I first started making, we use myself. When I first started making records, I didn't have Jay-Z. I wasn't looking to be Jay-Z. I wasn't looking to be Master G because there was no Master G. There was no Jay-Z. I wasn't even thinking about that. But now there is a Jay-Z. Now there is a Eminem. There is these different people. So you're meeting that person. You meet this person one time. Let's see, you meet him outside of a restaurant. Mm-hmm. And the way that you carry yourself or the way that you handle them or the conversation, you could change their life for the better.
Yeah. Yeah. And forever. I mean, and you never know what's going to circle back around. I remember reading LL Cool J's book and hearing him tell this story about
another gracious person. He's another person that handles his notoriety well.
Oh, very humble. Very humble.
Yeah.
But, when he was younger, before he, got on, so to speak, he was worshiping, the different groups, the same groups that we all looked up to, in those early days. And in fact, the group was, it was some of your label mates. I'll say that much.
Yes.
And long story short, he got a chance to meet them,
mm-hmm.
and the person that he met, he said was, so cold towards him, he never forgot that. And that's something that he still talks about, and it's 30 years later. And he never forgot the fact that he was so excited to meet, whoever this was. Oh man, blah, blah, blah. I'm your biggest fan, blah, blah, blah. And, it was a very cold, icy reception. So,
again,
people never get that kind of stuff. You never know who's going to be in a position 30 years down the line to help you out with something.
And see, that's the thing you got to remember, man. You always got to remember to take care of the people that take care of you. You got to treat people. And now we're going back to the lyrics of my intro. If you listen to the intro of the new song, treat people the way you want to be treated. Spread love because that is needed. Huh?
That's right.
Who wrote that?
Right.
Oh, I wrote that.
Certainly.
That's just in case somebody think I can write songs anymore. But
certainly,
no,
man.
But you follow what I'm saying. Again,
Definitely.
and I'm always going to use myself because I'm not going to. No, that's the other thing. I'm not going to bash anybody. You're never going to hear me talking crazy about whoever, this, that. Whatever you do and however you live your life is how you live your life. Because at the end of the day, you're a grown person and you make decisions on whatever it is that's going on. You're never going to see that happen. You're never going to see me do that. So most of the time, if you hear me using myself as an example, it's so that I don't offend or I don't piss off anybody. So in my own situation, I am extremely I'm telling you, I don't need to be noticed. I don't need to be recognized. I don't need to be seen. I don't need to be any of that. But when I'm in that situation, when I'm confronted with that scenario, I'm going to make sure that everybody around me is going to have the experience that I feel like I would want to have if I met my person. Now, and here's a tidbit of information for maybe those that, are thinking about it or eventually you might end up. Know when it's your time to roll out. Because I do that. I call it a battery. My battery has a certain amount of energy for me to be in the public eye. It's one of the reasons why I'm very thankful that I can come back home and I can go to the gym and I could go play golf and, I could go to the store with my wife and, we don't have an issue, with me walking around the Dollar Tree, because, I do that. That's what I'll do.
Right.
True stories.
You ain't getting no chicken pot pies and food from the Dollar Tree, are you?
Nah, I don't eat no Popeyes. My wife she loves to do all that old knick-knack stuff, but bless her heart.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what I'm saying is, even in the event that something like that would happen, even if I'm at the Dollar Tree and somebody recognizes me, I know
Right.
that their experience might be, it could be the turning point in their life. You
Yeah,
know,
it could be.
so as much as I don't want to be known, or as much as I have a problem or I'm not comfortable with it, I understand it. So know when it's time for you to have people around you. If you're famous or you're notable or you're successful, generally you have a crew, you have a team of people. So and your team of people have to know, when it's time for you to roll too. So you get
Exactly.
signals and you get conversations and you talk about this and you say, okay, I'm gonna go into this thing and I'm gonna do this for 10 or 15 minutes, and then at that 15-minute point, pull me up out of there. Because you don't want to get to that point where now it becomes irritating to you, and then you start offending people. So
Exactly. Well, like I said, in the last in episode 1, the journey, I was saying that the fans have an emotional connection to the artist. It's not always just about the artist itself and how cool they think the artist is and all that. Those songs, that music, that experience is a marker in their life where, you see a
exactly,
certain artist, you want to tell them how, oh man, your music reminds me of when we had the house party and this happened, or, when we were doing this and your song came on, it's literally the soundtrack of our life.
yeah,
You're such a part, an
yeah,
indelible part, no
yeah,
matter what happens of our growing up, or, they played your song at my first, high school
exactly,
dance, at the prom, whatever. And that's
exactly.
very special to me. That's very special.
Extremely special. So yeah. So moving on. Again, more purpose for the show. I tell you guys, health and fitness. That's going to be something that I'm going to talk about. Life
Yes.
experiences. I'm definitely going to talk about that. One of the things that I'm really into, and now that I have a platform to talk about, is film. I'm a huge film buff. I mean, I
Okay.
love movies.
Okay.
So what I wanted to do this time today, I made sure that I did this because people ask me sometimes. I'm even in the process of working on getting an opportunity to do a movie review with some of the local news people in the
Okay.
DC area. Yeah, I'm getting a chance to do. I'm going to have a chance to review a film with one of the news critics, and then they're going to run it on one of their shows. So,
Okay.
but movies for me, even as a kid, movies, that was my way of kind of like finding the other side of living. So if I was living in a little crazy of a situation. It was a little tense in my house, and it's a little drama. And on the Channel 11, there used to be all these old films. So these old movies, they used to come
Yeah.
on, and I was caught up in them. One of the things that I got out of those movies is how to dress.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Okay.
if you kind of look at the things that I wear or the way that I go, and you go back into the 40s and the 50s films, you'll see the guy always had a tie on, and he always had
Yeah. Oh, that.
he had a sport
Oh,
coat
that.
on, and he had a
Yeah.
handkerchief, and he had the cufflinks and all of that. So that I picked that up from that. I even went to the fact of I was watching a movie. It's called we call it the guy in the film would have a valet, or he would have a man Friday. There was the
Yeah.
guy. And when I became successful with Sugar Hill, I hired a guy and I called him my valet. Now you got to think about it. We're going back to 1979, and
Wow.
I'm a kid from Englewood, New Jersey, New York
Right.
metropolitan area, et cetera, and I'm walking into this situation, and here I come through the door with a valet. Now most of the people around me was cats from the Bronx and this and that and other things, so people didn't even understand what a valet was all about. But the valet
Right.
was the guy that took your coat, and the valet was the one that laid your clothes out for you. And your valet, Arthur. Everybody see the movie Arthur, I'm sure.
Yep.
What's my man name? Dudley Moore. Thank you. But Arthur, yeah, he
Wow.
had his
Yeah.
butler. That's a valet, somebody that brings it. So I developed that from watching movies, and just moving on, just getting into the thing. But I love the way films are made. I love the things about films that I like what film represents. I know, and I'm talking about it right now because it's kind of relative. Because we're just right now in the Oscar situation. We just had
Sure.
shout out to Spike Lee because he just won his first Oscar in 30
Wow.
years.
Yeah, that was a good
Think
look.
about
That was a good
that. Here's a guy that's been making movies that I just watched Malcolm X a couple of weeks ago. I just rewatched it.
Yo, man.
When I tell you it's one of the greatest films ever made, just the Denzel's performance in
Yeah.
Malcolm X,
He
it was
got into
spot
that
on.
character. He
Spot
got into
on.
that character. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, so shout out to Spike Lee. Another movie that I was told about, and I'm gonna shout out my guy from Fox 5 News here in the DC area, Kevin McCarthy. That's my guy. He turned me on to a movie called Roma, and so he told me to
Yeah.
watch Roma because I met him, and he told me, he says, movie of the year is Roma. I said, okay, and he said, but watch a movie called Children of Men. Now, the
Okay.
director's name of Roma is Alphonse. I got to get that name. Somebody get me the name of the director. He just won for best director too. I'm gonna come back
Yeah.
to that.
Roma cleaned up at the awards. They cleaned up pretty good.
Yeah, Roma, because it was a great film. You know, it was absolutely a great movie, and the movie was shot completely in black and white. So here's a movie that was made in 2018 that was shot in black and white. Cinematography is outrageous, man. The
Yeah.
cinematography is talking about. Yeah, thank you very much. This is my man's name. Yeah, Alphonse Serrano. Yeah, I'm gonna use that. We're gonna play that. We're gonna say his name is. We're gonna use Alfonso.
Uh-huh.
Yes, Alfonso. So he won for best director. He directed also
Uh-huh.
Children of Men too. But what I'm saying is, again, going into movies, it's such a great experience. So I'm gonna give you just a old and a new on some movies that you should just check out, just to kind of get an idea of what I mean by with great film. So the old movies is a movie. This start off with a movie called Double Indemnity. That's Barbara Stanwyck and Fred McMurray. Another movie is called Bold and the Beautiful. Kirk Douglas is in that movie. Don't forget
Okay.
Citizen Kane. Gotta watch Citizen Kane. If
Oh
you
yeah. Classic.
yeah, I mean,
Classic.
Orson Welles was probably one of the greatest filmmakers in the world, and he went through. I mean,
Definitely.
literally went. They gave him the business. You know, talking about like Coppola making The Godfather. Orson Welles, they were giving him drama long before that was even going on. The Deer Hunter. Now, this movie right here, The Deer Hunter. When I tell
Okay.
you what, my man
Word.
Christopher Walken. Christopher
Okay. Yeah.
Walken,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Robert De Niro, John
Oh man.
Savage, The
Yeah.
Deer
Yeah.
Hunter. I'm getting excited.
Yeah. The lineup. Yeah. The lineup is crazy.
Okay. Another movie, Gaslight. This is another movie. Angela
Uh-huh.
Lansbury's first film was a movie called Gaslight. She did this movie
Okay.
years and years ago. And then Dorian Gray. Now, I don't know if you know about Dorian Gray, and
The
I'm
name
sure there's.
sounds familiar.
Yes. Well, it's called something about the picture of Dorian Gray. Dorian Gray was a guy. He made a deal, He made a deal with the bad people of the world that he didn't want to age, and so what he did was he had a portrait, and all the bad stuff that he did, it kind of went into the portrait, and he stayed looking young, and his skin stayed smooth, and he never aged. But this painting
Right.
took on all of the negativity that Dorian Gray was living. So that's another movie you should watch. Midnight Express. Wow, this is another movie that's really good. Now we're going old movies, and this is the other one. I'm going to get off of this, but from time to time, I'm going to hit you with some more. But From Here to Eternity, Burt Lancaster, Frank
Yeah.
Sinatra won his first, I think he won either his first Academy Award or he might have won his second Academy Award
Right.
for
Right.
this film. So that's the older ones. The newer ones, this is a movie called Fierce People with Donald Sutherland in it. And
Uh,
the guy that he unfortunately was killed in a car accident just recently. Anton, I can't get this guy's name either. I need to be better prepared with these names. But and the movie I've been telling everybody about, movie I'm high on right now. This movie I'm high on right now, I just saw a movie called OG with Jeffrey Wright in it. It's an HBO film. You can go to on demand right now and watch this movie. So what happens is Jeremy Wright's character is a guy that's locked up in prison. He's been in prison for 24 years. He's about to be released, and he starts to mentor this young cat that comes into prison. And it's just it's one of the most And again, I don't not really into watching the prison films and all that kind of stuff.
right. Right.
But I'm telling you, this story and it was riveting. I mean, literally, I could not stop watching this movie. OG.
Wow.
It's a great film. Another movie is The Inevitable Defeat of Mr. and Pete. That's another movie. And this movie is with my girl. What's her girl name? Jennifer Hudson, the singer. Jennifer Hudson. She's in that movie, and a documentary. Yes, go ahead.
It's a recent movie.
Yes, it's relatively 90-ish, moving on 2000s. The inevitable defeat of Mr. and Pete, and it's about two little kids, and Jennifer Hudson's in the film. But here's a good movie that you want to see that can for hip hop historians or hip hop heads. The Suge Knight documentary. Suge Knight documentary was that American. It's called American Dream, American Nightmare. Suge Knight documentary.
Yeah, I heard that.
Very, very, very well done. Another good movie, The Hurricane. I know that I'm bouncing around with the time sequences, but the movie about Hurricane Carter, the boxer.
Oh, that was very good.
I read the book and I watched the film. Another great movie. The Green Mile, Stephen King. Go see The Green Mile. Watch the movie after you watch it. And then the other thing I challenge people to do is after you watch a movie, go try to find the book. And you'll be amazed at how interesting that is. So, what are your thoughts on film?
Hurricane, which was better, the book or the movie?
The book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Usually the case, I find.
Well, with the Hurricane, it went into more detail about his childhood. In the film, they talked about him, being in prison and what he went through. They touched on, situations, but Hurricane Carter had been involved in, juvenile situations, and he went to reform school for years, and of course, he got out of reform school. He actually broke out of reform school and went into the military, and that's where he actually honed in his boxing skills, and then he came back to from overseas and started boxing. But that period of time that he was a kid growing up, that's what the book helps you with.
Gotcha.
So, any movies that you dig? Any movies you enjoy?
A few from your list, man. Of course, Malcolm X was just just to revisit that. That was
right.
Incredibly done. If you ever seen any tapes or just heard any excerpts from Malcolm, Denzel got so deep into that character. The mannerisms, the vocal inflections. He really studied, he studied Malcolm very deeply. You
can tell.
That's one of my favorites. And myself, I watched that recently as well.
Yeah, you can tell.
Excellent movie. I want to see the Green Book. I haven't seen that yet, but I would like to see the Green Book. I wanted to see that anyway ever since I seen the trailer, but just everything with the Oscars and stuff. I definitely want to see what that's about. Have you seen that one yet?
No, I haven't seen the Green Book. I haven't seen a lot of the newer movies because I've been kind of busy. But I'll check them out, and I will continue to check them out. And I think that kind of segues into my experience for film. My brother was an actor, and I don't know, a lot of people don't really know this, but my brother started out as a kid in our neighborhood, and we did a show, a 2020 show. We did a show with 2020, the news thing. And at the end of the segment of the news situation, they got a group of kids in the neighborhood, and they had them rap the lyrics of Rapper's Delight. My brother was one of the kids that did the little segment. So we had a promotion girl that used to ride the bus from New York to Jersey, and she happened to be on the bus with a woman who worked in a talent management office that was also in Jersey, and started talking about this little kid that was on this 2020 thing, because the talent she noticed it. And then when the woman was like, "Oh wow, that's Master G's brother. I mean, we know who that is." So there he goes. Look at that. There you go, my brother right there. My gosh, thank you so much. So she comes back. I go in the studio that day. She says, "G, I was talking to this woman, and she said she saw your brother Leo, and this little lady Shirley Grant wants to see him." So we ended up going over to see this woman, Shirley Grant, and T-Neck. She fell in love with my brother. She actually ended up signing him, and she signed me. But Leo, and God rest his soul, Leo's not here with us anymore. But Leo had, if anybody thinks that I got any kind of charisma, any kind of talent, any kind of ability, you can put that in a thimble compared to what Leo could do. Leo, he could sing, he could dance, he could act, he could rap, he could write. He was, those people that could cry on cue. He could do that. Yeah. I mean, he could be sitting. He could be sitting here right now, and I said, Leo, start crying. He could cry on cue.
Wow.
So,
it's not easy to do either.
No, it was unreal. So what he started out, a commercial here, a commercial there, a few commercials, Then he started getting like national commercials, Crest commercials, Frosted Mini Weed. Then he started doing it. And then the big moment for Leo was a movie called The Last Dragon.
Yes, sir. The
Movie
black
called The
kung fu
Last
flick.
Dragon. Yeah. Leo auditioned for the part of Richie. And in the process of him auditioning for this part, he got the part, but Berry Gordy fell in love with Leo. Now, when I tell you that this man fell in love with Leo, it was to the point where they had nicknames for each other. Now, here's Berry Gordy. We talking about Mr. Motown, okay?
Right.
Discovered
Right.
Michael Jackson, discovered Stevie Wonder, discovered
Right.
Diana Ross, etc. They had,
Yeah.
and these were their nicknames. Mr. Gordy was Yogi, and Leo was Boo Boo.
Wow.
Now,
were tight.
that's how tight it was. Now, when I tell you this was an amazing situation, I was blown away. I came on the set one day because I didn't believe it. You know, he's telling me,
Right.
yeah, you know, Mr. Gordy and we hanging out. I'm hanging out in his suite and this and that. I'm like, Leo, you ain't hanging out in Mr. Gordy's suite. Are you kidding? This is Berry Gordy. I come to the set to
Right.
watch him, and sure enough, and they call each other, Boo Boo, Yogi, Boo Boo, Yogi. I'm like, this is Berry Gordy.
Wow.
And you know me, I'm a musician, and I'm like, this is Berry Gordy. And Leo
Yeah.
was on his way to being the Will Smith. That's the best way for me to describe Leo.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was on his way to being Will Smith. And I'm talking about, I spent a few times at Berry Gordy's mansion in Bel Air as a result of being with Leo. Period.
Yeah.
Point blank. I would have
That's
never
crazy.
got in those doors. And
Yeah.
and again, to show you how cool it was, we were in the car. We pulled up to the gate. The gate was like, you know, towering. He stuck his head out the car and said, Boo Boo. And the gate opened up, and we rode up into Mr. Gordy's mansion. The mansion where Rockwell had a house. He had another apartment up here. And
Yeah.
it was unreal. It was unreal. Because, you know, Rockwell was one of Berry Gordy's child. And
Exactly.
he had an apartment. It was on another level, and they had a zoo, and they had, I mean, this was all because of Leo. And he was warranted. Now, here's the thing. And we can spin it now. We're going back to notoriety. Leo couldn't handle his notoriety because he was torn between being famous in the street and being famous in the world.
Okay.
So he would go to California. He would spend time at Mr. Gordy's house. He would start writing scripts and he'd start doing things, but he would keep getting pulled back to New York. He would keep getting pulled back to New York. So he'd make up excuses to get back to New York. And after a while, unfortunately, Berry Gordy is a very important person. After a while, man, he shut him down. He just couldn't deal with him anymore. So he continued to grow in the streets, and he continued to stay in the streets, and eventually up to and including the fact that even to the point where we even attempted one time, because I tried to help him out, because by this time Leo's notoriety was very, I mean, he couldn't walk down the street in New York. He couldn't walk down the street anywhere because of Last Dragon. I brought him out on the road with me as I built these magazine companies, and I was going to clean him up. He had got caught up in, again, he got involved in drugs. He got involved in alcohol. He just really started going really bad. So I said, listen, man, he had gone to prison, got locked up several times. He had gone to prison, and he wrote 3 scripts in prison. So I said, Leo, when you come out of jail, we're going to develop these scripts. We're going to get you right. We're going to get these scripts together, and then we're going to go to California, and you're going to go to Mr. Gordy, and you're going to pitch these scripts to him, and we're going to put a company together. And I was going to be the first time I was going to do something back in the entertainment business. We had a company called Adonis Entertainment, and Leo, we were going to develop these scripts. Well, time had passed. Too many things went down. It didn't go like it needed to go. We got to California. He tried to get to Mr. Gordy's house. He got to the gate, and they wouldn't let him in.
Wow.
Yeah. So what ended up happening is that from that point on, Leo's demise just continued. Because he knew at that point he had messed up something that, couldn't be fixed. And he ended up back in New York. One thing led to another. He got caught up, and, eventually he ended up he was at a rehab place, and he came in like one night and never woke up, and they found that he had a lot of stuff in his system and so forth and so on. So
Wow.
So that's a story to let people know that what can happen, man, when you don't understand your notoriety. What can happen when you don't take full advantage of your opportunities. What can happen when you lose your purpose, man.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to be grounded. You got to be grounded going into that, man. That entertainment thing is
Yeah,
something that,
man.
especially for this generation, everybody wants. I mean, it's always been
Yeah.
a reality, but more so today, everybody wants to be that star. Everybody wants to be that, whoever the person is on television is getting mobbed, and it's not all it's cracked up to be.
I'm telling you now, if I did not have the benefit of a mother that gave me some information, if I did not have the benefit of people around me to be able to help me keep my mind right and help me reinvent myself, and I would have been somewhere in Manhattan in one of them seedy hotels. Because here's the other thing: you could have $100 million and lose it all, but you could never not be famous once you become famous. I don't
Right.
care what I could have. There's been times, man, where I had lint in my pocket, but somebody still recognized me. I've been on
Yeah.
the street in New York, sitting. I've been at a light. Miss G, what's up? And might not have had two
Yeah.
nickels to rub together.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
you could lose all your worldly possessions, but you could never lose your fame. I'm telling you.
Yeah. That's crazy.
When a person when a person passes away, when I pass away, whatever happens to me in my life when I pass away, this is the first thing they're gonna say. Guy, Master G. O'Brien, co-founding
Yeah.
member of Sugar Hill Gang. That's what
Yeah.
that's what they're gonna say when I pass away. They're not gonna say
Yeah.
he was a father, he was a husband, he had no, they ain't gonna talk about that. They're gonna talk about that after.
Exactly.
So, I just try to tell people, man, understand and feel the importance of your purpose. And we getting ready to we coming to the we coming to the point here where I kind of just want to leave something with everybody. Think for yourself, people.
Oh, definitely.
Think for yourself. Don't allow somebody else to run free in your mind.
Oh man.
And I'm gonna use a bad word, but not a real bad word. Let no asshole run free in your mind.
Mm.
Okay? Don't live your life like a mustard seed rolling around on a plate, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to define who you're gonna be, how you're gonna be, and why you're gonna be that person. And then you gotta do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when and like I said, when I tell you guys, I have been sleeping on somebody's couch, no car, nowhere to live, wearing re-wearing clothes. Okay, and I'm talking about this is after I done sold millions of records.
Right.
I went from no car to multiple cars. I went from nowhere to sleep to multiple places to sleep.
Yeah.
But the only reason why I have been able to continue to come back is because at the end of the day, I know my purpose in life.
Yeah.
My purpose in life is to entertain, teach, train, and motivate. That's my purpose in life.
Yeah.
And as long as I stay on that path and I don't let people take me off my square, that's why I say let no asshole run free in your mind. Because people are going to try to throw you off your square. Every single day, life is going to be 10% what happens to you and 90% how you deal with it. Period, point blank.
Yeah.
That's it in a nutshell.
Yeah. That's heavy, man. That's heavy, and that's good instruction, brother.
But you understand what I'm saying, though, right? I mean,
Sir,
people. Here we go back to the lyrics at the beginning. The other lyric, and we joke about this because I got to clarify. I say, it's not how you live, but how you lived. It's not what you get, but what you give.
Right.
Again, I'm not interested in person thinking about my lifestyle. I live a great life. Yes, I do. I have a beautiful family. I have wonderful cars. I travel all over the world. You know what I mean? I eat the best food. Blah, blah, blah. I don't care. That's not what I want you to be impressed by. I want you to be impressed by what I did with the privilege to live that I was given. That's why I say my purpose. And I found this out as I continue to get older. When I was young, I was selfish. It was all about me. Well, I'm young. I'm, finally famous and making money. As I got older, all the people I kept moving, they kept saying, man, I appreciate you telling me that. Or, man, I appreciate you turning me on to that. Or, man, I appreciate you helping me get myself back up on my feet. So I started realizing that my purpose in life was to teach, train, and motivate and entertain.
Yeah.
I got to bring relief to those. If you have a skill, if your skill is singing, you create relief for people. You take people away from their drama, because it's a bunch of drama out here, man.
Yeah.
We're living in the world of drama. Look at what's on television. Look at what people are more interested in what's wrong with people than what's right with people.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I'm on a soapbox because I'm getting kind of turned on, because it's so important for me now. As I said, I made a decision to come back into the public eye, and now that I'm in the public eye, I have made it my business. I have made it my commitment to be able to touch the lives of individuals who feel any kind of inspiration as a result of me, be it by the music, be it by how I dress, be it by how I carry myself, be it by whatever the case may be. If you want to hear what I got to say, I'm getting ready to educate you. I'm getting ready to turn you on. I'm going to bring you to the light, because it's enough darkness. We joke about that in my house. We don't live in a dark house. A lot of people live in a house of darkness, man.
Yeah.
Everybody looking at each other crazy, ain't telling each other that they love them. Anytime I go anywhere, I let my people know, hey, man, I love you. If I'm going to the store, I love you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I've lived enough life, and I've seen enough times where a person walked out of the house to go get a loaf of bread and didn't come back.
Come back, exactly. Yeah, you never know.
Look at my brother. Like I said, use my brother as an example. He could have been anything he wanted to be.
Yeah.
Anything he wanted to be. He had it. He was, he had it. There's a thing that people call it. Is when you got it. I don't have it. My brother had it. But it didn't last because he couldn't last with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's something else, man.
So,
and we've seen that so many times,
man.
With entertainment industry or not, but definitely in the entertainment industry. It's a lot to handle, man.
Yeah. Yeah. We got to go, man. I got caught up. I apologize.
Hey, it's good, man.
Oh, wow. Wow, man. I'm telling you. I tell you, man, it's what we need to do, man. It's where we need to be. It's why we need to do it. That's why I'm giving it up, man. I made a decision, and I'm glad that I made a decision. And shout out to everybody, man. Everybody that's helping me with this thing, man. All the people that are working with me at developing this show, and all the good people that, tuning in, all the comments that we're getting, all the love that we're getting. Again, we're here. We're going to be here. I'm coming back. I'm going to be doing this. Even when I'm out of the country, I'm gonna figure out ways to, make sure that this thing continues to run, because not only is it cool, but I'm having fun doing it. So once again, this is Master G. I love you for loving me. Thank you for, being a part of my world, and I hope that you're letting me be a part of your world. Jaquan, you my man. I appreciate you. We getting ready to do big things.
No question.
Say goodbye to the people, brother.
Hey, peace. Peace.
All right, y'all. Master G, I'm out.
Been given the power to correct the damage to the minds of the lives I affect. It's not what you get, but what you give. It's not how you live, baby, but how you live. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Spread love, y'all, cause you know that it's needed. I'm Master G, baby, and it's my turn. We're calling this one. Look, listen, and learn.